This thing is bigger than Brandon Marshall. This thing affects all of us. There's 330 million Americans, and over 100 million Americans are personally affected by mental health issues. But for every one, 6 to 8 are affected. So that means we all are affected. If it's not you, it's a loved one. It's a friend. It's a friend's kid. It affects all of us. This is where it all started. And I've never, ever told my story to the Denver community, ever. The only thing they know of Brandon Marshall was a guy who caught a lot of balls and got in a lot of trouble. That's the only thing they know. And I said, how amazing is it now, you fast forward 6 years, 7 years, and I can tell you guys my story. You know, our goal is to eradicate the stigma surrounding mental health issues, mental health disorders. That's our goal, that's our mission. We want to place on-site behavioral health care services in our schools through raising awareness with the chatterbox. Why is that important? Because where we're at today is where the cancer and the HIV community was 20 years ago. This is the last great stigma that our country needs to attack. That's why we're here. That's why telling our stories through real chats is important. Bringing Tyrone Braxton up to tell his story, a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Because we need to galvanize the community like the cancer community did. I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Now, I wasn't going through anything that was unique. 99% of the guys that walk into the National Football League, 99% of the people in this room go through these things. It's just life. It's not about putting walls up or putting borders around yourself and your family and your finances and your health to say will never happen to us. It's not about that. It's how you respond to the adversity. And for me, I couldn't. We don't have the skills and the tools naturally to be able to deal and cope with our emotions or just life. So I had to go to McLean Hospital for 3 months. 3 months. Not because of the Brandon that you thought you knew, the headlines, but the Brandon that was sitting in his theater room in a catatonic state. I literally was depressed my last year in Denver. I didn't know that I was. I thought that if I had the security and the stability from a contract that I would be okay. Out of nowhere, McDaniels calls me in his office, and we're going to play Seattle in one of our last preseason games. But he said, I'm gonna leave you behind and we're gonna work on this contract, we're gonna hash it out while we're in Seattle. I want you to stay here, get your mind right, we'll start fresh on Monday. So they sent me over this offer and they're saying, you're gonna be, it's funny, we're in Elway's, he said, you're gonna be the highest paid Bronco ever in team history, bigger contract than Elway ever had. He said, but you just gotta score 4 rushing touchdowns. And I'm like, no way I can freaking score 4. Like, no, I'm not signing this deal. So anyways, he comes in that Monday, brings me to his office, and he says, conduct detrimental to the team. You know, you haven't been doing this, you haven't been doing that. I said, well, what happened to this deal? And wow. I walked out of that office, and I literally prayed, and I said, don't do anything stupid. And I walked onto the field, and that's when I started batting the ball down, kicking the ball, and it made headlines. It was very bad. But the key was I couldn't control it. So they traded me off anyways, fast forward, traded me to Miami. I got the security now, $50 million contract, the biggest contract in wide receiver history. We just went above Larry Fitzgerald, who signed a 4-year, $40 million deal. Good to go. But the thing that made me notice that I had a problem was football, because that was something I could control always. There was days I went to the practice field and I couldn't focus. I started dropping balls. And that was always my sanctuary, my place my escape. So I'm out there one day, and our team is terrible. Should have never left the Denver Broncos. I would have a Super Bowl ring right now. But you know, I chased the money, and I thought that was my security. And that's when Dr. Gunderson called me and said, Brandon, you need to come up here. And he put me in this intense program. I'm like, yeah, they just diagnosed me with BPD. I couldn't even say it. And she was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, I got this pamphlet, and I just, start highlighting everything, and the whole damn pamphlet is yellow. So you guys know about the headlines, but the things that was holding me back, the resentment in my heart, the misdiagnosis. When I was here in Denver, there was one point where I was talking to 5 different people in 1 week. My life was a living hell. And my beautiful wife, who I met in college, she was amazing because she had the patience and the love in her heart to see this thing through. I decided, and with my wife, that we need to tell her story. Just imagine if we come together as one, what we can do with over 100 million Americans affected by mental health issues. It's important. We want to prevent and intervene early, and that's why we're here.